Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring us to our next guest speaker, who is a radio personality of sorts that you may recognize. How many people have heard the name Tony Katz? Raise your hands. Okay.
Not enough. You need to know my name.
Tony, come on up here, buddy. Let's give you. Tony's going to take our 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for allowing me the opportunity. Oh, wow. I hope you don't mind if I sit and I'm casual. Born in Brooklyn, grew up in Jersey, and if you ever thought for a second that I'd be sitting in front of all of you in a place called the Cocky Bowl talking about the Tea Party, you have no idea what it was like to grow up in Brooklyn and New Jersey. To think that I'm sitting in front of all of you 19 months past February 27, 2009, when I stood alone on the Santa Monica Pier for that very first Tea Party. Rick Santelli had just rung the bell a week before, and a week later, there we were. I was the first person to arrive. I was one of the organizers. I hosted that first Southern California Tea Party event. And it was a very, very peculiar scene to be alone on the Santa Monica Pier in, could have been this suit. I got a new shirt since then. Thank you. Yes, you were looking at it. It's very nice. You're welcome. And to stand on that pier and look for somebody and then realize that after 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, I'd gotten there pretty early, I turned around. There's Victoria Jackson from Saturday Night Live, walking down the pier with an American flag, with signs, and with a copy of a dictionary opened up to the definition of Marxism. I had no idea that 19 months later, that there would be places in California I had never heard of, and I would be in them having this conversation. I'm in California 2.5 years. I'd never heard of Victorville. I didn't know it was here. I told my father that I was going to give a speech, to have a conversation about the Tea Party. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Victorville." And he said, "Did you buy your tickets yet?" I can honestly remember when I would get phone calls from people, July of 2009, we're coming into Los Angeles for July 4th, we want to be someplace where there's a Tea Party event. We called the Republican Party in Los Angeles. They said, "Call you." And now we're at a moment where there are more groups than we can count. More people who belong to the Tea Party than ever before. We're not 30% of the country. We are 81% of the country, and I can prove the number. It is remarkable to understand what we have done in 19 months. We own the political conversation in America, and we own the cultural conversation in America. It was hinted to, alluded to a little bit earlier, that there is not anywhere from any candidate in the United States, no matter if they are on Capitol Hill or in the smallest town, who isn't trying to figure out how to get Tea Party support or avoid Tea Party questioning. Not a one. We control and we decide what people are talking about and what candidates have to run on and what they have to do for us each and every day to get our vote the next time around. We have, within the Tea Party, we have established a brand that is so strong, so unique, so perfect, and so simple that it baffles Republicans to this day. We are about the four basics: the Constitution, capitalism, fiscal responsibility, and smaller government. I didn't need a cue card. I just knew that's what it is. I was able to do it without giving another pledge, signing another contract. In 19 months, we've established a brand, and we have put forth the message of that brand with such tenacity, with such strength, with such honesty, and with such goodwill that America has said, "I'm with that. I can believe in that. I can get with that." And it has driven many a Republican mad. I bring this up because I wasn't sure about everything I was going to talk about today, but I saw the newspaper, which is, by the way, Fantastic, and congratulations to you. It is in the ink. That's very, very true. It's why I started a radio show. I started my own show because I don't believe I have to wait for permission. I didn't have to wait for a syndicator to find me and allow me to be on the air. I did what you're supposed to do in America as a capitalist. I put some money together, I bought time on radio stations, I bought the equipment, and I started a show. It's called the Tony Katz Radio Spectacular. It's on 5 days a week at 3 p.m. Pacific. We're on the air on AM stations in Tampa Bay, Florida, throughout the entirety of Arkansas and in Texas, just outside of Austin. We were on for a short while in the Inland Empire, KCAA, but they wanted more money than I thought the station was worth, and that's a negotiation. That's also capitalism. But you have to be definitely in the ink. You have to get started. We all have a message to move, and you all have your part in moving that message. I don't get to decide who in this room gets to be on radio. Just be on radio. Be on internet radio. You want help? Call me. I'll tell you what to do. You want to start your own newspaper? Start your own newspaper. You want to start your own blog? Blogspot.com. Get started. Move this message. But when we talk about the GOP for a second, because I saw it in the newspaper, it has an entire conversation about Lisa Murkowski. Ooh. Didn't need a cue card for that either. Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, and then the Christine O'Donnell situation in Delaware. And I bring this up because it's a great example of what the Tea Party is and what the GOP still needs to learn. Karl Rove went on Sean Hannity. Are we booing Karl or are we booing Sean? Yes, that was funny. Earlier that day, Charles Krauthammer had spoken on Fox, and he spoke about Christine O'Donnell. And he said that it was capricious to vote for Christine O'Donnell. He didn't believe that you should vote for Christine O'Donnell. He believed that the vote for Mike Castle would get you a GOP majority. While we may not all be Republicans in the room, we certainly agree that we want GOP over the leftists that we see today. But Charles Krauthammer was giving a conversation about statistics, a conversation about how he saw the process, a conversation about facts, a conversation about logic. That wasn't what Karl Rove did. Karl Rove watched an election where the Tea Party triumphed and put Christine O'Donnell in place of Mike Castle. And he went on Hannity and attacked Christine O'Donnell personally. This wasn't about strategy, this wasn't about logic, this wasn't about numbers. This was about attacking her for having a tax lien. Who doesn't have a tax lien in America? Tim Geithner can't do his taxes. Charles Rangel writes the tax code. He doesn't even pay taxes. A tax lien. A leftist, statist tactic by a guy who has told us, and we have been told as a conservative. And to his credit, Sean Hannity could have folded. He could have simply looked at Karl and said, well, I disagree, but let's talk about it, and moved on with the conversation. Sean Hannity didn't do that. He stopped the conversation dead and said, you're wrong, Karl. That's not what this is about. Those are personal things. We've got to talk about what the Tea Party has done here. The tone deafness from Karl Rove was so massive and so complete that in that moment I understood the problem of the GOP in relationship to the Tea Party. It's not that they don't get it. They're too smart not to get it. They're smart people. It's that they're incapable of carrying on a conversation. They are incapable of moving a message, and they're incapable of hearing a message. The party that brought us Reagan, the great communicator, is incapable of communication. That's what makes us so important. That's what makes what you do here so remarkably important to the world around us. Because we have taken on the mantle of the communicators. We're the ones moving the message. We're the ones doing the research. We're the ones walking the walk and talking the talk. We are the ones who stand up at town halls and say no. We're the ones who are led by senior citizens who remember what free speech is all about. And will not be shouted down, and will not allow themselves to be shouted down, who don't allow congresswomen to get on their cell phones when being asked a question. They stood up and said, you don't get to talk to me like that. You work for me. Sit yourself down and listen. Senior citizens have taught us a lot about how to open our mouths and speak clearly. The Tea Party now moves the message in America. We move the political debate in America, we move the cultural debate in America, and I can prove this. There are 3 commercials that came out this summer. Sorry, I do have a drink when I talk, but I don't need a teleprompter. Who here wants 10 more minutes to hear this guy speak? Here, let's hear it. Yeah. All right. I'll take 3, but thank you, thank you, thank you. I like that whole say I thing. That's beautiful. 3 commercials came out this summer for 3 iconic American brands: Budweiser, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, and Dodge. 3 all-American brands. Beer, mac and cheese, and cars. Brilliant. The Budweiser ad and the Kraft Macaroni and Cheese ad featured the Founding Fathers. The Kraft Macaroni and Cheese ad was about Jefferson. The Bud ad had Jefferson and Ben Franklin. And someone was asking, where's Jefferson? And Ben Franklin said, oh, he's writing that Declaration thing. And then he shows up with a Declaration and a couple of cases of Bud, and the party begins. But the Dodge commercial is brilliant. It's exceptional, and if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and watch it. In this commercial, you see the redcoats marching down a field. An open field, some woods in the distance. Through the woods runs a scout, young child, running. He's tattered, he's sweaty, he is running for everything he has in him. And he runs and he reaches what I guess would be the colonel, who's on his white steed, and he's telling the colonel that the Yanks, that they're over there. And the colonel gives the order, and there is no sound, there's just music playing. And the redcoats take their position, the first row, on their knee, muskets at the ready. The second line comes, muskets over their heads, ready to fire, waiting, waiting, waiting. And through the woods comes the roar of a Dodge Challenger. Driving straight at the redcoats, American flag sticking out the back, and driving the car, George Washington. The redcoats scatter. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're running, they're tripping, horses are throwing soldiers off, and they're running for their lives. And the commercial ends with George Washington standing next to his Challenger, and it says America got a couple things right: cars and freedom. Now, it is certainly possible they're appealing to the Tea Party because, by and large, we're the ones with the jobs. But when Madison Avenue, see, Hollywood is based on ideology. Madison Avenue is based on capitalism. They're based on the return. And when Madison Avenue goes after you for the dollars, you are relevant. You are the ones who move the message. You are the ones they need. We are bigger than them. We are not alone. There are millions of us. We're taking 2010. We're taking 2012, 14, 16, 18, 20, and beyond. It's my pleasure to be here. I look forward to your questions.